7th of December, Rabbi Levitt, Gemorrah.
Good morning. Welcome back.
Hello again.
Okay. Here we go.
All right.
Yeah, Alan sent me an email. He has a doctor's appointment.
Right.
And,
And Mayer had to go for a doctor's appointment with his wife.
okay. As Hashem, should be good.
Amen. All right. So we did the Rashis.
Now let's see, where did we get to? Oh, a Kosev Nechosev La'aviv. Yeah, we read Rashi. Okay. Oh, so now we got to the response of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says that Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba has no raya from the Mishnah because even without the reason of Kinyan Peres Kinyan Aguf, since the son is fitting to inherit from the father, so that's why it comes out that the son can sell what the father deeded to him to a purchaser. There's really no proof that Kinyan Peres is lav Kinyan Aguf dummy. That's what we got up to yesterday.
Right.
So should we go from there? Amar le Abaye, or you want to go back over what we did? You have
Maybe
to
we should
say.
go back over a little bit.
Okay, so yeah.
Let's see, where do I want to start?
From the beginning.
Maybe Rabbi Yochanan Amar.
Rabbi Yochanan Amar.
After Reish Lachish.
After Reish Lakish.
Or maybe the Itmar, where the discussion between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. We got a whole machlokes between Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan.
Right. Let's review that if you don't mind.
Okay. How should we do it?
How about I'll read it and you can tell me what I'm doing wrong. The Itmar.
Yeah.
For it was stated regarding the last case of the aforementioned Mishnah.
Oh, just a second. I'm sorry. Be back in a minute.
No problem.
Okay, we're back. Itmar.
Okay. Machar haben bechaye ha'av umes haben bechaye ha'av. Okay, so the son sold the property during the father's lifetime, and the son died during the father's lifetime. So the father wrote a document saying that the son has the property as starting now and after death, meaning that the father owns the produce the rights to the produce, and the son owns the goof. And when the father dies, the son gets everything. So now the son sold the property while the father was alive, and then the son died. That's the case. Rabbi Yochanan Amar lo kana lokeach. Rabbi Yochanan says that the buyer does not acquire the property upon the father's death, because the son didn't have the right to sell it, because Rabbi Yochanan holds that the peiros is tantamount to the whole thing. Therefore, the father owned the whole thing at that time because he was still alive. And when the son sold it, he didn't do nothing. Reish Lakish Amar Kana Lokeach. Reish Lakish says that the buyer acquires the property upon the father's death. That's because Reish Lakish holds that the ownership of the produce or the rights to the produce is not tantamount to the ownership of the entire thing. And therefore, the document that the father wrote that says the son owns the property beginning now and after death, the son actually owns something tangible there. He owns the goof. He doesn't own the rights to the produce, but he owns the goof. So when he sells the goof, he has the authority to do that. And therefore, when he dies, his sale that he did when he was alive is still valid. And when the father dies, then the purchaser acquires the whole thing. Okay. So the Gemorrah explains the first view. Rabbi Yochanan says, Rabbi Yochanan Amar lo kana lokeach. Rabbi Yochanan says that the buyer does not acquire the property. And this ruling is contradicted by the aforementioned Mishnah, as it might appear. It's contradicted by the Mishnah. Why is it contradicted by the Mishnah? By our Mishnah?
In other words, the Mishnah that that our Gemorrah brought when Rabbi Yerba Bar Abba said, "Ana masnisin yadana," I know a Mishnah, the Tnan.
Okay. So why does it contradict it? Let's just review that quickly. One writes over his property to his son from to acquire after his death. The son cannot sell the property completely because they are in the possession of the father. And the father cannot sell the property completely because they are in the possession of the son. The father did sell, they are sold. If the son sold, the buyer has nothing until the father dies. So we don't have a contradiction. Why does it say we have a contradiction, I wonder?
Because according to the Mishnah says that when the son sells over here, it says Ein lo l'lokeach ad shamosa av.
Right.
The lokeach doesn't have he doesn't have anything in the I guess in the peiros of the land ad shamosa av, until the father dies.
Right.
And then the Rabbi Yirmi Bar Abba, he said that Kimesa av miha, but when the father does die, it's implied in the Mishnah, Islay the lokeach will acquire when the father dies.
And
And
Rabbi
that's
Yochanan
against
says
Rabbi
no.
Yochanan. Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you. I got it now. Okay, so if Yochanan says that the buyer does not acquire the property, this is contradicted to the Mishnah, because the Mishnah says that when the father dies, he does acquire. Amar lach, Rabbi Yochanan would say to you, Ki katane mas nisin. When we learned in the Mishnah, my English says when did the Mishnah teach? Machar haben lo kana lokeach ad sheyamus ha'av. When did the Mishnah teach that if the son sold the properties, the buyer has not acquired anything in these properties until the father dies? V'chi mayes ha'av is le lelokeach, implying that when the father dies, the buyer has acquired the properties. When does the Mishnah say this? Delo meis haben b'chaye ha'av, when the son did not die during the lifetime of the father. Oh, so I'm just looking back now at the Mishnah again. Son. If the son sold, I see. It doesn't say anything about the son dying, it just says he sold. Okay. All right. So the asu li de haben, so that the produce came into the possession of the son before he died, before the son died. In other words, the son outlived the father. Therefore, when the father died, the produce came into his possession while he was still alive. That's the case of the Mishnah. Aval meis haben b'chaye ha'av, but where the son died during the lifetime of the father, the lo asu lidei devain, so that the produce never came into the possession of the son. Ki mayes av nami, when the father eventually also dies, leis le lelokeach, the buyer does not have any rights to it, because the son never came into his possession because he died. Okay, we alma ka savar. We thus see that Rabbi Yochanan holds that kinyan peiros ki kinyan haguf dame, that the acquisition of the produce is like the acquisition of the goof, the whole thing. V'chi zabin, hence, when the son who owned only the property's essence sold the property, lav dide zabin, he was selling something that was not his. He was selling the produce, because the produce, in this opinion, is tantamount to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay. The Gemorrah now explains the second view. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, Omer, Kana Lokeach. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says that the buyer acquires the property upon the father's death. He maintains that Ki Katane, excuse me, Masnisin Machar Haben Ein Lolokeach Ad Sheyamus Ha'av. When the Mishnah taught that if the son sold the properties, the buyer has nothing in them until the father dies, Ki Mayes Av Mi Sas Is Le Lolokeach, which implies that when the father dies, however, the buyer has acquired the property. Lo Shna, Lo Meis Haben B'chaye Ha'av. It does not matter whether the son did not die during the lifetime of the father. Da'asu lidei devain. In which case the produce came into the possession of the son. It does not matter whether the son did not die during the lifetime of the father, in which case the produce came into possession of the son when the father died. Velo shna meis haben b'chaye ha'av. Neither does it matter whether the son died during the lifetime of the father. The lo asu li de devain, in which case the produce did not come into possession of the son. Kana lokeach. In either case, the buyer has acquired the property because since he holds that the essence of the property is independent of the produce, so when the son made the sale, it was a good sale because he owned the essence of the property. Alma kasavar kinyan Peros lav kinyan haguf dame. We thus see that Reish Lakish holds that ownership of the rights to the produce of a property is not tantamount to ownership of the property's essence. V'chi ka zabin, and hence when the son sold the property, Didei Ka Zabin. He was selling something that was his.
Right.
Okay, so I think that's clear.
Right.
Okay. Va'anan hashta. And we now assume that Bain Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba uvein Rav Yehuda, whether we're talking about Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba or we're talking about Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, Sevira Lahu. Like Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, he holds, let's see, both Rabbi Shimon bar Abba and Rabbi Yehuda hold in accordance with Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. Oh, okay, so that's different from what we just said. That the Mishnah refers to where the son died during the father's lifetime. Oh, they both. Oh no, we're not contradicting. We're just saying they're both They're both talking about when the son died during the father's lifetime. So, in other words, we can say that because their disagreement is about the ownership of the produce. And so one says the sale works, one says the sale doesn't work because the son died before the father. Therefore, the principle of ownership of the produce being tantamount to ownership of the whole thing is relevant since the son dies before the father. And therefore, we can have this machlokus even though they both agree on the basic case.
Okay, here, what the Gemorrah is doing is telling us what's the halacha. Is the halacha like Rabbi Yochanan, that we say kinyan peres is yeske kinyan aguf, owning the right to the produce is in a certain sense regarded as owning the property itself, or do we say no? We hold like Rav Shimon ben Lakish, who he holds that it's not regarded as owning the property itself. So here the Gemorrah says anan hashta, and us now literally we're gonna tell you what the bottom line is over here. Bein Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, Bein Rabbi Yehuda, whether like the first judge that judged the case, or the second judge who commented on the case with the mother when she deeded the property to her son during the time that she was married to her husband. And even though Rabbi Yirmiyah Abba awarded the property when the mother died to the son, and Rabbi Yehuda disagreed. He said no, the property should go to the husband. So even though they disagree about that case that they had between one another, the Gemorrah says that actually they both are Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish Svira Lahu. That both of them hold like Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish in his Machlokes with Rabbi Yochanan, that kinyan peres, the ownership of the produce, is lav kinyan aguf dami, does not constitute any acquisition in the land itself whatsoever. So even though they disagreed with one another in the case with the mother and the son and the husband, but nevertheless they would both be on the side of Reish Lakish in his machlokes with Rabbi Yochanan about kinyan peres is lav kinyan aguf. Not like Rabbi Yochanan who says kinyan peres is kinyan aguf.
Okay, I'm a little confused about your last statement because I thought we said that they had different opinions about kinyan peres, kinyan haguf dami. So where did I get that from? Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba and Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah, I see what I'm doing. I'm confusing Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yochanan. But I thought we said back here that Rabbi Yehuda They related Rabbi Yehuda's ruling before Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba. He said to them, I know a Mishnah. Who is he? Is that Rabbi Yehuda or Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba that's quoting the Mishnah?
Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba is quoting the Mishnah.
So Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba says that this Mishnah supports his position.
Right.
And Rabbi Yehuda does not disagree.
Rabbi Yehuda holds, we're going to see in a few lines, when it said that was what we did yesterday. Hadru l'kamei Rabbi Yehuda. They came back to Rabbi Yehuda with what Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba said, that he holds that the Mishnah is a support for himself, that kinyan the Paris is lavka kinyan the goof. Rabbi Yehuda said that he said that the Mishnah that you're bringing as a support for yourself is not it's not comparable to the case that we ruled on,
which is the case of the woman.
Right. They differed with one another in the case of the woman. One said the son should get it. One said that the husband should get it. So Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, who said that the son should get it, he said, I have a proof to my position that the son should get it from this case of the Mishnah, with and you see from this Mishnah over here that kinyan of Paris is lavka kinyan agu, and that'll prove my position that it should go that the mother, even though she predeceased her husband, she should be able to that she deeded the property to her son in her lifetime will mean that the son will take it from the husband. But Rabbi Yehuda said that he said that, oh no, that case of the Mishnah with the father who deeded it to the son and the son who sold it to a third party, that case is not analogous exactly to our case with the mother deeding the property to the son. So, but what makes it confusing is that here we just read in this Anan Hashta that the Gemorrah said that really you want to know the truth is that both Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba and Rabbi Yehuda, who argue with one another in their case, and Rabbi Yehuda furthermore argues that Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba doesn't have no proof from the Mishnah for his position in that case that they argue about. Nevertheless, that both of them hold that the halacha is like Rav Shimon ben Lakish, that kinyan of Paris. They both agree that kinyan of Paris is lavka kinyan of goof.
So they agree with the Mishnah's ruling, which says that the buyer does not acquire. No. It says the buyer does acquire.
Yeah, they both. In fact, they both agree. They will both agree that the buyer will acquire even if the son goes before the father. In the case of the Mishnah, not like Rabbi Yochanan.
Okay, so now that's confusing to me because if the son, the case of the Mishnah is that the son sold the property and the purchaser acquires it when the father dies. Oh, so it's not like the case of it's not like the case of the woman because the nobody died yet. The son didn't die yet. Right? That's the point that's made in that Mishnah, that second Mishnah, the son did not die yet.
Well, according to Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba and Rabbi Yehuda, even if the son would die before the father, nevertheless, the Lokeach would acquire when the father dies.
Well, how can that be if according to the one that holds that the produce is tantamount to the whole thing, then the son didn't have the right to sell it.
Right. But both of them, the Gemorrah is pointing out that both of these two hold not like that. They both hold that they both hold like Rish Lakish. That's what the Gemorrah says when it says Anan Hashta, Bain Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, Bain Rabbi Yehuda. Whether like him, meaning both of them are Karebi Shimon ben Lakish Svira Lahu. Both of them hold like Reb Shimon ben Lakish in Reb Shimon ben Lakish's argument with Rabbi Yochanan about this case of the father who owns the produce to the field. Is it regarded as that he owns the land itself? They both hold that it's not regarded at all as though he owns the land itself. And so therefore they would both say, in the case of the Mishnah, that even if the son predeceases the father, nevertheless, the son's sale in his lifetime to the Lokeach will be a valid sale, because already at the time that the father deeded it to the son has an interest, at least in the land itself. The land itself, because why? Because they both hold that the father owns the right to the produce does not mean that he owns any part of the land itself. He owns nothing in the land. Therefore, when the son sells the land to a purchaser, the purchaser is able to acquire the land. And then when a father dies, then he also acquires the paris afterwards. That's all according to Reish Lakish. And the Gemorrah here says that both the Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba and also Rabbi Yehuda, they agree to that. They agree with Reish Lakish, even though they argue with one another on the case of the mother who deeded the property of the Niksei Malug to the son during the marriage. And even though she did pass away before the husband, so Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba argues and says, "Oh, it goes to the son," and Rabbi Yehuda says, "Oh, it goes to the father, it not to the husband." I say, that's the Gemorrah is now going to explain why it is that Rabbi Yehuda holds like that, even though he agrees to Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba that kinyan the paris is lav kinyan the goof. He nevertheless disagrees with him in that case with the mother deeding the Niksei Malug to the son.
Okay, I'm with you. So Rabbi Yirmiyah and Rabbi Yehuda both hold that Kinyan Haperos is Lav Dome Kinyan Haguf.
Right.
Okay. So the Gemorrah now returns to Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba's statement. V'ka'amar Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba. And Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba said, I salke daitach, kinyan peros, kinyan haguf dame. If it should enter your mind that ownership of the produce, the rights to the produce of a property is tantamount to ownership of the property's essence, ki mayes av umayes haben bechaye ha'av, then when the father dies and the son had previously died during the lifetime of the father. Okay, so the son died during the lifetime of the father. So therefore, according to this view, the son didn't do nothing. Amai is le belokeach. Why does the buyer have the property? Since the son didn't do anything, therefore the buyer should not have the property. So if you think that this is the way it goes, then you've got a problem, because the Mishnah says that the buyer gets the property. Ki ka zabin hai. Why, when this son was selling, lav dide ka zabin, he was selling something that was not his.
Right.
Okay. Ella lav shema mina. Rather, do we not learn from this? Kinyan peros lav kikinyan haguf dami. Therefore, we have to reject our supposition, and we have to say that the ownership of the rights to the produce of a property is not tantamount to ownership of the property's essence. Therefore, the fact that the father had the rights to the produce at the time that the son made the sale is not relevant to the sale. The sale is good because the son does have the rights to the essence.
Right.
Accordingly, Rabbi Abba, Rabbi Abba's, now we're going back to the case of the woman. Rabbi Abba's rights to the produce of his wife's milug property did not prevent her from giving that property to Rav Shmuel bar Abba. Well, why is that? Let's see. Accordingly, Rabbi Abba's rights to the produce of his wife's milug property, okay, he's the husband, he has rights to the produce, did not prevent her from giving that property to Rav Shmuel bar Abba, which is her son, because rights to the property, to the produce, is not tantamount to ownership of the whole thing. Therefore, the wife was the proper owner of the essence of the milug property, and therefore, when she deeds it to her son, she has the right to do that. According to the view that says that the rights to the produce does not constitute ownership of the whole thing, which is the position of Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba and Rabbi Yehuda, in accordance with Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish.
Right.
Okay, the story continues. Adruha lekamei derav Yehuda. They returned this argument to Rabbi Yehuda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now the question is, Rabbi Yehuda, how do we understand you? You agree with Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. So how can you say the woman cannot give her property to the son, to her son?
Excellent. That's the point.
Amar lahu. So now he's going to answer. He dismissed it and said to them, Hachi Amar Shmuel. Thus saith Shmuel. Now Shmuel was the one that they quoted. Let me just refresh my memory. Shmuel. Gotta go back to the beginning here. Shmuel was the one that said, Rav Yehuda said, so says Shmuel, a woman who sold Maluk property during the lifetime of her husband and then died, the husband removes the property from the possession of the purchasers. Okay, so Shmuel is the source of saying that the wife did not have the authority to sell the property. Okay, so now Rabbi Yehuda is going to answer in accordance with Shmuel. Excuse me. This zo eina dome lemish nasenu. This case of the wife giving away her property is not analogous to our Mishnah.
Yeah, this word, the Mishnah Senu, is a bit misleading. It doesn't mean our Mishnah. It means the case that we disagreed about.
It means the case of the mother giving to her son.
Right.
Right. That's not a Mishnah.
Right. Right. So I'm not sure exactly why the Gemorrah is using that word over here, but apparently you can use that word not only for an actual Mishnah, but for a case that has a halachic teaching that comes out from it.
Okay, so when it says our Mishnah, it's not an actual Mishnah.
Because if you look at what he said over here, Hachi Amar Shmuel, this Shmuel said. What did he say? He said, Zo Eino Doima LeMishnah Senu. He said, this is not comparable to our Mishnah.
But now Shmuel does not actually quote our Mishnah, right? Shmuel quotes a different case where she sold her property and the husband died. So maybe that's a different Mishnah.
Well, no, because Shmuel is in Amora.
Yeah.
So
couldn't he be quoting a Mishnah?
He could quote a Mishnah, but this statement of Ish Ha'isha Shemochra b'nichse Maluk b'chaye balo mesa bal motzi That's not a Mishnah. That is not a Mishnah. There's a the Gemorrah doesn't have any citation to any Mishnah anywhere when it quotes those words of Shmuel. So what Shmuel is saying, it's not a Mishnah. It's a teaching that's a teaching of Shmuel. It's attributed to Shmuel. Hachi Amar Shmuel. That's what Shmuel said.
We're just quoting Shmuel. Shmuel said, Shmuel made this statement, and therefore, based on that, we're going to conclude something.
Yeah, but you're right that we got to actually figure out over here what, because then the Rabbi Yehuda says another time when they came back and told Rabbi Yehuda what Rabbi Bava said, that he holds that the Mishnah proves that that Kinyan de Paris is lav Kinyan de Guf, and therefore, since it proves that, therefore he holds that he's right in giving the property to the son and not to the husband. Rabbi Yehuda responded to that. He said, Hachi Amar Shmuel. He said another statement of Shmuel.
There's a second Shmuel
statement. It's the same Shmuel who said the first statement, and now he's saying another statement that Shmuel said. Hachi Amar Shmuel. Shmuel said the following thing. He also said this too. He said, Zo eino doima leMishnah Seinu. That is not comparable to Mishnah Seinu. So what does those words mean? What do those words mean?
Oh, I see where you are. So the first Hachi Amar Shmuel was just quoting something, a teaching of Shmuel. Whereas now this Hachi Amar Shmuel is Shmuel jumping into the fray, so to speak. He's now entering the argument.
It's really not. It's not so clear to me. What I mean, it's not clear at all from the words what Shmuel is saying. But Rabbi Yehuda is quoting Shmuel as saying this, and it must be that what he's saying is that that Shmuel does not hold that there's that the case that he spoke about with the mother deeding the Niksei Malug, that case is not similar to the Mishnah that Rabbi Bava just quoted.
So it is an actual Mishnah.
I'm just thinking right now that it's possible maybe to learn. In other words, you have two things over here, two teachings that Shmuel is referring to over here. He's referring to, he says Zo, that's a teaching, and he says Eino doima leMishnah Seinu. It's not comparable to our Mishnah Seinu. So which teaching is the Zo, and which teaching is Mishnah Seinu? What are those two teachings that Shmuel is referring to? What is not similar to what?
Okay, so my English says that Zo is referring to the case of a wife giving away her property, which I assume is the case that we have on the bottom of Pei Ches Amid Aleph.
Well, I would say that when Shmuel says Zo, he's referring to what he said about the case of the woman who sold the Niksei Malug in the lifetime of her husband.
Oh,
And that's what Rabbi Yehuda originally quoted in the name of Shmuel as a support for saying that in the case that was brought to him, that the husband should get it and not the son.
well, if Zoe refers to that, what is our Mishnah referring to?
So if that would be so, if we would learn like that, then we could say Mishnah Seder means the Mishnah that we would then say that the Mishnah Seder, he's referring to the Mishnah that Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba quoted.
Ah,
I'm not comfortable with saying that because I don't know why he said Mishnah Senu. Mishnah Senu implies that it's our Mishnah that we have been dealing with. And Shmuel wasn't dealing with the Mishnah over here. He didn't say anything at all about the Mishnah.
right. Yeah, and that's going really against what my English is saying.
What's the English say?
The English is saying that Zoe refers to the original case of the mother giving property to her son.
The mother giving property to the son, or the mother selling the property to a purchaser?
Oh, could be either, couldn't it?
Because that's the case that Shmuel himself spoke about.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Well, time flies when you're having fun.
Okay,
It's late, so I'm gonna have to go.
very good.
This was a very good session, though. I'm not saying I understand it, but I picked up a lot.
Okay, Baruch Hashem. Very
Thank you,
good.
Rabbi.
Okay, you're quite welcome, Lou. All the best. Have a great day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.